Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all doing great. Now, Bitcoin has tumbled down a little bit, and I just want to talk about this because it's like Bitcoin has gone up $40,000 over the last 2 months, which is absolutely tremendous. The results are incredible, but just because of this little like $5,000-$6,000 sort of tumble to the downside, a lot of people are panicking. So please don't panic, don't be emotional, stop worrying. The bull market is not over, and overall, if you are worrying about this, and maybe you entered too late, maybe you FOMO'd in at like 96k, 97, 98k, and you're now worried, and you're seeing your portfolio go down, so you end up selling in a loss, getting shaken out, and then 3 weeks later, the price is even higher. So this could be a possibility this time round, but I also want to talk about something very critical in this market, and that is that Ethereum performs very, very well, usually by quarter in Q1. So that's January, that's February, that's March. And historically, we've had basically some very nice months here. Most of the time, Ethereum does really well in February and also January. March is like an okay one, and then it sort of has a very bad June, July, and August. So I'm really hedging again my bets that this historical data will play out once again. Now let's just talk about Bitcoin very quick. Still a fantastic price tag of 92.2k. There's really not a lot to be panicking about right here. And remember, these cycles, they go through these expansions and contractions, they go through these emotions. We've had the optimism, we've had the belief, and I still think we're still yet to enter that true thrill phase. We've not seen that true euphoria where it just feels absolutely crazy, because Bitcoin's 100k almost, and it's feeling, in my opinion, a little bit boring. Anyways, Bitcoin, if we just kind of compare this to the last cycle, I just want to explain this to you guys the way I see it. Now, what's important is that Bitcoin was consolidating at the previous 2020 and 21 all-time high, basically the 2021 all-time high. Bitcoin was consolidating at this level during September, during October, during June, May, and April, and all the other months, right? So we've got an incredible amount of support now at $60,000 to $70,000. It's a very, very big point of interest now. But what we can actually do is go back even further, because if we're comparing data for the existing cycle versus the last cycle at the all-time high, you can see why these are correlated, because you've got two all-time highs being compared in different market cycles. It's kind of similar to being back around $17,000 in 2020 October, just before that market really started to heat up and get really hot. If you look here, you can see this is where you have Bitcoin retesting the previous all-time high from 2018. And what then happened is Bitcoin went on a humongous rally, and you can almost see that's sort of what we're getting right here. It went on a massive rally, and Bitcoin did shoot up quite a lot. We can't really talk about the percentages because the market cap's different now. It went up 266% from that previous neckline. Now we've got this major neckline. So far we've seen it go up from the neckline itself, the previous all-time high, only like 50%. So it still could go higher and make a true 2x to 130k, 140k, maybe even more. If we were to then look at Fibonacci structure and just kind of do the same thing, compare those previous all-time highs, which is basically taking this one, 2018 cycle all-time high, we can see Bitcoin went above the 2.618 Fibonacci, and that takes Bitcoin into this region here, hovering above the 2.618. So we can see that has obviously played out, and that is what happened. From 2017, Bitcoin rode up from the bottom, and it went all the way up from the bottom, up, and it did a massive 18x. Now, I'm not saying Bitcoin will do an 18x, but what we can do is we can then take the data again, apply the same sort of logic, the same sort of thought process, this Fibonacci extension, take that previous 2021 cycle top, drag it down to the 2023 bottom, and the 2618 Fibonacci goes to about $150,000. And I honestly think that's where we could see Bitcoin go this particular cycle. About that 2618 region. It's going to be a little bit less because we do see diminishing returns as per cycle. But in my opinion, that's why we should at least see 130 to 150k for Bitcoin. Of course, Bitcoin can come down first. It can do its thing. It could correct very heavily. But I do think overall, this is one thing that I'm really starting to consider looking at, is just not getting too bullish, not getting too hyper bullish, and taking profits off the table every 10% that it moves up is also a very important thing to do. Do make sure you subscribe if you're new here, by the way. So basically we've had 1, 2, 3, 4 weekly candles, and we're now getting that first just about red candle. Now, if we actually go back again and look at something, again, really important, when Bitcoin did break through the all-time high, you can see actually Bitcoin also had a correction. The first major correction before it got to that 2618 fib was 30%. It was a 30% correction, and then actually corrected again. It did a 55% correction, and then it went up to its big all-time high. So I don't know if you can see that. You got 55% correction and a 30% correction. Then it went to the all-time high zones. Right now, we could be due maybe that 30% correction. If we look at this pump here, from here, if we come down to $75,000, 18-20% correction, it would still be absolutely fine. About 25% correction. If Bitcoin does come down to $75,000, it doesn't mean that it's over. It could easily bounce back and recover. It could be a huge shakeout, and that is maybe what we will see. It's a play. It's a play that could happen, absolutely, and then it could shoot back up to the upside. So you got to have these plans in mind that if it does come down 20-30%, it could be worth dollar cost averaging into. I think right now I'm going to wait to see what will happen in the market, because I do think we could see a bit of a cool down here for Bitcoin. You can see on the relative strength index, Bitcoin has been very overbought and quite euphoric. On that daily time frame, it's also been an overbought territory. It is cooling down a little bit, but I'd like to see it come down closer to 50 and 40 on this RSI before I start to really buy into. You can see how it's really following this very strict diagonal, these kind of impulse waves, these corrections, impulse, correction, impulse, and so on and so on. So yeah, Bitcoin at the moment, still great, bullish, but it's absolutely normal for it to come down. It went up $40,000 in just a matter of months. So of course, a 10% correction is still qualified as completely normal in this market. We've also got extreme greed in the market, 79 on the extreme greed phase. Now guys, if you're also looking to amplify your crypto portfolio, do consider becoming a patron if you want to make more time, location, and financial freedom. If you want some more money to be made, get some crypto gainage, check out my Patreon down below. I've only got a few slots left. This will give you access to a bunch of early insights, early alpha meme coins, the next big coins that are coming out in the markets, and tons of trading signals to help you guys make more money in these markets to get long and short positions like the ones that you can see right here. The traders are doing very, very well, as you can see, just flicking through them. These are all yesterday's trades. So do check that out if you're curious about making more money in the market. It's only really for people that do want to make more money. I mean, I don't know who doesn't want to make more money, but if you don't like it, I'll refund you anyway. Now, what we can see is as well on the Ethereum side, because I think the flippening will occur again. Q1 Ethereum is always so nice. Look at the Q1. We could be looking for a 30 to 40% pump here in 2025 if you think Ethereum is gonna still run. Could be waiting for a period for it to come down in price a little bit. Personally, I am waiting for it to come down in price a little bit. Just similar to Bitcoin, I'm still bullish. Hasn't actually put through an all-time high yet, which is absolutely absurd. And I think at some point it must put through an all-time high. Otherwise, it's just going to be an absolute failure, right? It'll just be such a disappointment. Now, if Ethereum does come down a little bit, you got to remember Ethereum went up 40% in this month. 50%. 50% in a month. That's massive for Ethereum. So just based on correction alone, $2,800, $2,900 could be some really interesting areas to buy this. Maybe on a little dollar cost average at 3,000 on the nose if it does come down. Maybe even a little dollar cost average. It's got to lose some support here. If we see some downside play, it could be worthwhile doing. What we're seeing here, it looks quite bearish, to be honest, but it could be a trap as well. This looks like a triple top where you have like an M shape, but actually you've got three major heads. And you can also see that it's getting more and more, the size is growing here. Each head is getting larger. So this is a triple top, which is actually a very bearish trading pattern. I've seen this one before. I believe it is bearish. We could break this neckline and move down to $3,000 for Ethereum, which would result in an 8% move to the downside. But on the contrary, we could also just pump straight up. So it's really hard to guess, but it's good having numbers in mind to make logical decisions should they be met. So that's another thing that I'm curious about. If you want to know when I'm going to be aping into Ethereum soon, again, you have to become a patron, become a VIP crypto legend, and I'll let you know when I'm planning on DCAing into Ethereum and exactly when I am buying Ethereum and other coins. I do think we could see a bit of downward play here. Quickly checking the RSI for Ethereum on that daily time frame. We were very overbought. 11th of November, hit 80 on the RSI. Come down a bit now. Weekly, March was extremely overbought, and we're still nowhere near that overbought. To be honest, September was a very good time to accumulate Ethereum. The RSI came down to 40 on the weekly. Right now we're sitting at 58, so we could come down a bit, retouch with this 14 day SMA right here. If we touch this 14-day SMA, then I would imagine, if this comes up a little bit, we could reach it around about 50 on the weekly RSI. It could be a good time to dollar cost average in. So I still think there'll be a little bit more downside here for Ethereum and some of the other Bitcoins in the market. Alt season index as well, guys. We're at 50. We're not in a Bitcoin season. We're not in an alt season either. But I think we are just typically in quite a good place in the market. So hopefully this video is useful. Share it with your friends if they are confused, if you want to give them some hope, if you want to give them some realistic views on the market, and do consider becoming part of Jacob's Crypto Clan, the Patreon, to unlock VIP access to the Discord. It's also free anyway, so you can just find that down below. And yeah, happy crypto day. See you very soon, and thank you for watching. Peace.